Love, peace, and blessings, and welcome to another episode of the What Podcast? The What? Wellness, Healthcare, Advocacy, and Transparency. Brought to you by the FAMU College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, Institute of Public Health, as we affectionately refer to it as the COPS IPH. And we have what a guest today, like none other. I'm your host, Dr. Ola Sheffield, and I'm just enamored, I will say, in a very humbling and in that way, because our guest today, he knows a little something about the whole establishment, if you will, of this college. He's been on the Hill since 1985 in various capacities. I've worked with him in various capacities. He is Professor Emeritus, Researcher Extraordinaire, ever learning, ever caring, ever sharing, the one and only Dr. Ken Redda from the East Wing. Thank you, Dr. Redda, for being here today.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Indeed, and you're just always a pleasure. You know, he leads, I shall say, with servitude at the helm, in terms of he gets in the trenches with students and learners, as you will, as well as the colleagues of faculty and staff. But if you will tell our viewing audience, Dr. Redda, how did you get here to FAMU?
Well, about 41 years ago, in 1984, the dean of this college, then the College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Science, came to visit Puerto Rico. I was a faculty member at the College of Pharmacy in the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. So there was a conference of pharmacy schools in San Juan, Puerto Rico in 1984. So Dr. Charles Walker, who was a dean at that time, a great man, man who loved research, was one of the participants. And I was involved in organizing that conference in Puerto Rico. I was actually transporting the deans from the airport to the hotel.
Okay.
So I met Dr. Walker, and he said, "Young man, what are you doing here?" I said, I'm an assistant professor in medicinal chemistry. So do you do any research? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I got funded by NIH for the first time doing medicinal chemistry research. And he was a very smart man. He kept that in mind and said, "Would you like to come to Tallahassee, to Florida A&M University, College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Science, and give a talk?" I said, "Yeah, I've never been in Tallahassee, and it would be my pleasure to visit Tallahassee." Then I came to Tallahassee in November 1984, gave a talk about that research project I was engaged in, and I was funded by NIH. At that time, Dr. Johnny Early was an MBRS director. MBRS is a Minority Biomedical Research Support Program that was funded by NIH again, and also the same program, MBRS, exists in the University of Puerto Rico. So we kind of connected with Dr. Early. And then when I gave a talk presentation, Dr. Walker said, "Ken, we have a position in medicinal chemistry. Would you like to apply for the position?"
Coincidence?
Oh, I never thought about that. Okay. And when I asked about the College of Pharmacy, they said, "You know what? The faculty in the College of Pharmacy can swim and walk on water." I said to myself, maybe I'll be able to walk on water too. Anyway, I interviewed for the position. Then and there, Dr. Kariman was the division director. All these good people.
Okay.
And we made connections. And 2 weeks later, they offered me the position. That's how I came.
Wow.
I came in January 2, 1985. I love this place.
Yes.
I fell in love. That it was a very, very different time, of course. And that's all she wrote.
When I tell you, again, history, the college is getting ready, or at least the pharmacy portion, to celebrate 75 years of its establishment in 1951. And again, in terms of research, teaching, and community service, this gentleman has been an integral part. And so think about it, Dr. Redda, from Puerto Rico through National Institutes of Health, here, January 85. Again, fast forward. What has the journey been like as it relates to the classroom, the lab settings, the learners you poured into, the research dollars that have been garnered?
Yeah, as faculty, we are required to teach. we're required to do research, and we are also required to be engaged in service, including national service and community service and so on. And I took that to heart. My passion, of course, was research. I had done a PhD in medicinal chemistry. I was 2 years postdoc, fellowship, engagements, and so research was really my passion. And as you very well know, you and I have known each other in this endeavor for many years, that to do research, you have to have the passion. It's not an 8 to 5 job. And so when I came here, Florida University provided me with the opportunity to do all these activities. I was free to do these things. I received support from everywhere, from the dean's office, from the university, and it was like really a fertile ground for me to move on what I do. And people say I was driven. I was really good. So I knew that in order to do effective research, you have to write proposals to fund it. Without funding, it's very limited. You can't do anything.
Zero, not a zilch. No outcomes.
So I kept on writing proposals. And one thing I want to share always with my students, research associates, research assistants, that you keep on trying. Failure is okay. It's part of the experience. You learn from it.
You can fail forward to success.
And you write. You may not be funded. That's okay. You rise up, make it better. You submit. You resubmit. And eventually, it is going to happen. And it's happened for me. So I got funded, and when I stayed here, I was teaching. I was engaged in research, and then there was a grant called the Space Life Science Training Program.
Yes, so we would blast off.
Yeah, this was about a kind of $500,000 a year, and I wrote a proposal about it to NASA. It was a NASA funded, but FAMU administered. It was a training program for students. So I took over as a director of the Space Life Science program. During that time, many things happened. From 1987 to 88, Dr. John Early became the new dean of this college. Dr. Walker left to become a chancellor in Arkansas, in the university in Arkansas, its alma mater. So when Dr. Early left the MBRS director's position, I moved in. Dr. Humphreys, Fred Humphreys, I will never forget him, appointed me to that position to take over Dr. Early's.
Wow.
Of course, because Dr. Early recommended me for that position. And so, and then when I was the director of MBRS, I moved into another responsibility, managing research. Grants management is
a whole different animal.
So, and then I got the NASA funding called the SLSTP, Space Life Science Training Program. So I was really engaged. I loved my job. Like people said, I was driven. The more grants I got, the more excited I got. And then I continued to actually serve in the MBRS program for 17 years.
Wow. And that's just part of the legacy that is yet living.
Yeah.
And I'm recalling that time spent with you to an extent, Dr. Redda. I remember the Dyson building and the Honor House back and forth across the street, if you will, MLK Boulevard, traveling with him and other learners and faculty and staff to Cape Canaveral and meeting Dr. Macy Jemison, the astronaut. All of this is part of what he was, facilitating for the rest of us. And even in the MBRS, the Minority Biomedical Research Support Program, it seems like you're always paying it forward, if you will. Like you receive it, and with your enthusiasm, being data-driven, you pass it on. Tell us what that means to you.
Again, I was engaged as a director of MBRS for 17 years, as at NASA. Funded, FAMU administered SLSTP for about 10 years. But MBRS dealt with the training and development of students, graduate students, undergraduate students. This was really a group of FAMU investigators. They write research projects. And then we ask for funding, and we manage it. So under the director. So this were, at one time, we had 13 investigators. So it's between 7 to 13 every year. It's a cycle of 4 years. You know, if you're funded for 4 years, then you go on some meeting. So it went on, and the director manages all the submissions to NIH, and NIH may fund some and may not fund others. So that's the way it went. So all of us will be engaged in training students in research, the fundamentals of research, particularly graduate students and also undergraduates. So I would say over these years, I think we must have trained over 350 students.
Wow, that's a round of applause right there. Congratulations.
And then every year we have a national meeting, and everybody goes to that national meeting to present their research findings.
Because he makes sure of that. That's written into the grant. Let's be clear.
Yeah, it is written in the grant. And so this was an exciting time, you know. So the whole point was you promote research on campus. And we also had what we called Student Research Forum.
Yes.
Every year.
Your baby?
Yeah, that was really
birthday.
I love that one. With about 75 students present the research findings to the whole community, not only FAMU, but so we celebrate that. And it was partially funded by, in my time, by Eli Lilly. And Eli Lilly also gives awards.
Yes.
At the same time, they also give a banquet in the evenings. So an Eli Lilly person will give a presentation. We have a banquet of about 200 people, you know. So it was really a great time to celebrate research.
Absolutely.
And also try to see how research is really beneficial, not only to the student, but also expanding the sciences. I always tell people, if you want to be an effective teacher, the best way is to be a researcher, because research is about the creativity and creating of knowledge. The teaching part is really disseminating whatever is discovered. So this is really a time for me that I was involved in, you know, publications, presentations, training, service,
etc., etc., and etc. And again, having worked with him before, you know, in that role of scientific editor, you know, he get, you know, let's say 4 years of funding from NIH, as an example, you know, does the work, and then it's time for a performance appraisal, if you will. He wants to make sure that he's dotting every I, cross every T, so that when he submits this, he did do a great job. Let's see if we can get him some more funding. But tell us, how important is that as it relates to the research infrastructure that you do, what you say you plan to do, and with the outcomes you're able to report that? It's like favorable.
Exactly. You know, if you look into the mission of the Division of Research at FAMU, you know,
which you are familiar with, former vice president of research,
you and I have been involved, like I said. If you look into the mission of the Division of Research at FAMU, it begins with saying the mission is really to create a high intensive research activities on campus by strengthening the infrastructure. This infrastructure is very important. If you don't have the infrastructure for research, you can't do any research.
There's no enterprise.
Which means you need the buildings, research space is important. Research equipment is essential, and administrative structure is very important. So infrastructure really involves resources and facilities in fact, it used to be one of the main criteria for evaluating your grant proposals. Do they have appropriate research infrastructure?
The capacity to build.
The capacity to conduct the research. So that is really my emphasis, and always really stress the resources we have. That's why we always advocate, give us the appropriate resources, the administrative infrastructure that's required. Our Office of Sponsored Programs, you know, you have to manage grants management. It's part of it. The grants, if you don't manage your grants, you lose. So,
not good reflection at all.
All integrated. Environment means everything in your success. Training has to be done under appropriate conditions. Research requires certain discipline, certain integrity to do that, and therefore appropriate trainings are required. If you do animal work, you have to pass animal protocols.
Institutional review board.
Institutional review board. So on.
Because we are kind to our animals,
so
yes.
research compliance, under the research compliance, is such an essential part of doing research. And so when you talk about research capacity, they call it research infrastructure, it is really critical for the success of. So, and it's the success of our training programs. And graduate students, they have to learn here the basics, the fundamentals, the creativity, the work. So the infrastructure includes all these activities. And I stress always what I do, that these have to be in place for you to do the research.
That's why he was so effective in that one role, if you will look at his resume, VP for research, because it makes me think also as relates to, technology transfer and commercialization. I think you may have garnered a patent or two along the way as a result of the research and the outcomes and everything you just mentioned. Will you speak to us about that?
Of course. The other one of the missions we say also in the division of research is you have to disseminate knowledge. That's really one of the mission of FAMU research, dissemination. And in doing so, not only do you have to publish your research findings, but also try to solve the problems that communities face, our community faces. For example, do you discover a drug that treats cancer? Okay, what do you have to do? So when you do that, your main goal as a researcher will be, how can I solve a problem? Problem solving is one of the missions of FAMU again. So what we did is, and I don't want to claim only me, you always work as a team. We have team members that really collaborate, work with us, and on our side, to advance research activities. So this creativity, this discovery takes a long time. And if you are successful in solving the problem, you patent an invention. And I'm very lucky that I've been working with an outstanding scientist, Dr. Gangapuram, Dr. Madhavi Gangapuram. You probably know her. She has been serving FAMU for almost 22 years, 21 years.
Half of your tenure time, but
exactly.
Yes, nevertheless.
But, these are the people that make things happen in the lab. Our research associates, our research assistants, our graduate students, they contribute to the creativity we produce. Our own faculty collaborators, they say, two minds are better than one.
At least, right?
So we consult each other, we really advise each other, we help each other. So through collaboration, I was very lucky to have produced about 9 patents in FAMU, of course. So
they don't just give those away in the U.S. Patent Office. You got to go through the rigors.
And so that is really the bottom line. Once it's patented, of course, that's only one step. You have to promote it. You have to again do more research. See what, for example, if you have anti-cancer agent, anti-cancer compound, you have to determine the side effects, the potential side effects. You have to test this in animals, you have to test this
a lot of factors come to bear.
It's very expensive. So a company perhaps will probably promote this invention until it comes to marketing. So marketing, commercialization, so on follow. So what we do here though is at least we do the fundamentals that this is an effective molecule.
Yes.
As a medicinal chemist, what you try to do is create that possible molecule. So you may modify it, but at least that molecule have shown initial activities, what we call efficacy, established, initial on cell lines. Then you go into animals and other clinical trials and so on and so forth. Many steps to go.
Absolutely.
And cost millions of dollars.
Okay, yes. You don't just do this because you're thinking about it. And in terms of thinking, making you think, I do recall also when we were in the Division of Research, I think we did some kind of partnerships, if you will, with our sister institution, Florida State University, there in the Convention Center, as relates to putting some of these things on display.
Exactly.
And not just from faculty, not to minimize that, but so much engagement with the learners, the students, showing off their wares, if you will.
Exactly.
What was that all about?
Oh, that was a great event. What we did was, it was part of the part of a program to promote inventions.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided, let's have one day where we can come together, all the inventors with
Mm-hmm.
patents and other, inventions
Yeah.
or scholarly achievements. Let's display this to the community. So we do invite the whole community,
Mm-hmm.
particularly maybe if there are any investors.
Because you never know.
Yeah, and so this is really one way of, number one, create awareness
Mm-hmm.
about what we do in the university. Some people may not know what we do in the university, and we have to be in touch with our community always. The community nowadays is a very important part of what you do.
Absolutely.
We are funded. We are a state institution.
Mm-hmm.
We are funded by the state.
You got to be responsible with these tax dollars.
Taxpayers.
Accountable.
So you create awareness. That's number one. And at the same time, if there are angel investors, or we call the angel investors, maybe they'll talk to us and move us forward in terms of promoting our inventions. So these are the two functions. And also within ourselves, how many people know that we have patents? So that was a function. So we had 1 year, and almost everybody comes out.
It was jam-packed. Yes, quite successful.
And we used to do it out of the university, so that the people can easily come and
exactly accessible.
And so it was very productive.
Indeed.
It was very helpful, and the faculty are excited in sharing their achievements.
Of course.
And we create that kind of an awareness.
Indeed. And you also create, again, these kinds of, communication strategies, I'll say. Because I'm thinking about care, too, because he cares, too. See what I did there? But, Dr. Reams and you, and working with these other institutions, not just here at FAMU, University of Florida, then we go all the way across the USA to the West Coast of California. Again, to bring that together, how does that work?
Well, it is interesting. As I said before, it's all about relationships. It's all about collaboration. When you do research, you don't work in silo. You always try to collaborate. So Dr. Reams, Dr. Renee Reams, my colleague, my next door neighbor here,
they're in the office. Okay. Yes.
I don't call her, I just knock at the door. And what we did was we created a collaboration. Actually, so her effort, she was very, very driven too in terms of doing research. We collaborated with our colleagues at the University of Florida and also University of Southern California. So we had a triad, three institutions. We collaborated in terms of trying to do research, health disparity research related to cancer. Health disparity is a big topic. Health disparity is a big issue, and also related to cancer research. So we promote cancer research related to health disparity, but also was a component of training students, training post-baccalaureate, training postdoctoral fellows, younger investigators. That was also part of the community engagement. How do we really communicate this to the community?
Yes.
And community relationship is not only telling the community what we did, we also receive back what their priorities are. We can learn a lot from the community for the researchers. What are their priorities? What are the issues? So it's kind of a
give and take.
And so we had that component. So we had what we call the CARE 2, cancer, training, and engagement center, equity center.
Absolutely.
It was really a $16 million in 5 years.
That's what I was waiting on.
I was proud to be involved, and I was working with incredible people who were dedicated in spreading the information about cancer research and cancer education. So we had the honor and the pleasure of working closely with Dr. Barakat Mochona in the chemistry department, Dr. Reams from here, and many others also that were part of this. We were about 50 people involved in this project at 3 institutions, and we worked in tandem together. So this is all about collaboration, working together, which is a teamwork, team dynamics. It was fantastic. 6 years I spent in this program working with Dr. Reams.
And now as Professor Emeritus, keep in mind now, Assistant Professor, Puerto Rico, everything that he's talked about and more. And now here on the set of the What podcast, when you think about wellness, healthcare, advocacy, and transparency, what is your legacy, you think, Dr. Redda, even as it is yet unfolding? But you don't just become a professor emeritus because, I think I'd like to be, that process.
After all that, remember, after 17 years in grants management, writing grants, funded, SLSTP, all these things, I had the distinct honor to serve as a vice president for research at FAMU. In 2010, I was fortunate enough to be picked as, when Dr. Robinson moved to Washington, remember?
Yes.
So they put me there first as an interim vice president for research, and I served there for 5 years. I had an experience a few years back as an associate vice president under Dr. Gray Ray.
Right, yes, I do. Yes, okay.
I served for about 13 months.
You hear serve keeps coming to the forefront.
And so that was really the pinnacle of my achievement, because now you could see overall how research can be promoted university-wide. So you contact with all these funding agencies, federal agencies, state agencies, private sources. So I was able to communicate with FAMU faculty university-wide, engineering, agriculture, pharmacy, public health. Everybody.
And
not only do have basic
I'm going to interrupt you because I'm thinking revenue and expenditures in terms of annual report. I think there was a little bit of growth going on there while you were in that role.
Yeah, definitely. We moved actually, when I was in 2000, it was around $28 million a year, 30. And then by the end, when I left, it was about 55 million. So that is really what we did, because I don't want to take credit for that. It's the faculty.
But the speed of the leader is the speed of the gang. I'm telling y'all, I work with the man. He doesn't work. What? I'll say this to your face, Dr. Redda, to all this, like RFPs. They come, they go, but he doesn't wait for the RFPs. He's like.
Remember, you always, we used to send us memos, messages. I never send them until you send
At either rate.
You edited. So we go a long way with you when you were working in the division of research. But I had also engaging. I used to go regularly to every college, every PI. We have a session. What is the problem? What can we do for you to solve it? So that was really very important for me. And that was really a great time I had.
Indeed.
At that time.
And we're winding down here. I'm getting the finger over here, but also the recognition part. I'll just say we had the best PI luncheons, principal investigator luncheons ever, where again we recognize some of this greatness. In closing, Dr. Redda, the global impact, because again, USA, yes, but briefly, would you tell us just a little bit about the global impact of your research efforts?
Well, publications go throughout the world. If it's written, it goes everywhere. Everybody. Nowadays, with the advent of internet, you can always download a publication.
But you've been invited and have participated in international.
Exactly. Over the last 40 years, I was fortunate to be invited to present some of my findings in China, in Moscow, in...
wow, the time really is that it is. But again, other countries,
Africa, it was you go throughout the world because the world is smaller.
Indeed,
it really is
smaller. And getting closer all the time. So I'm so glad that we've had this close up, Dr. Redda. We're gonna have to come back for another part 2, 3 to be continued. But again, you heard it here, Dr. Kinfe Redda, Ken Redda. He'll say Ken. At either rate, Professor Emeritus. I call him my mentor, colleague, and friend. And you can reach us here still at the FAMU College, the COP side PH. You can email me, ola.sheffield@famu.edu. Log on to pharmacy.famu.edu for all the updates. And again, research is fun and fundamental. And thank you for being fun and fundamental.
Absolutely, my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be here.
Wow.
My pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.